I had just returned from a grueling, week-long business trip, exhausted but relieved to be home. As I pulled into the driveway, I noticed the house looked unusually dark for this time of evening. My phone buzzed in my pocket, a call from my kids. Confused, I answered, "Hey, what up?" "Dad, you need to come over now," my eldest Jake said, his voice shaking. Panic surged through me. "What is wrong? Are you guys okay?" "We're fine, but it is important. Just come." Without another word, I sped over to Jake's place, my mind racing with possibilities. When I arrived, Jake and his sister Lily were waiting on the porch, their faces pale. "Dad, you need to sit down for this," Jake said, guiding me inside. My heart pounded in my chest as I took a seat on the couch. Lily handed me a glass of water, her hands trembling. "What is going on?" I demanded, unable to mask my anxiety. "Dad, it asks about Mom," Lily started, tears welling up in her eyes. She's been lying to you." "What do you mean?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Jake took a deep breath. "Mom's been seeing someone else. We found out a few weeks ago, but we didn't know how to tell you." The room spun. "What? How do you know?" "We saw her," Lily said, her voice cracking. "With some guy. They were together, Dad." The betrayal hit me like a ton of bricks. My wife, the woman I had trusted implicitly, was cheating on me. I stood up abruptly, needing to get some air. Jake grabbed my arm. "Dad, there is more." "More?" I echoed, feeling like I was in a nightmare I couldn't wake up from. "We did some digging," Jake admitted. "We found messages, emails. It's been going on for months. She's been lying to you, to all of us." Anger and hurt churned inside me. "I need to go home," I said, my voice hoarse. "Wait," Lily said, her eyes pleading. "Dawn to confront her yet. You need to be prepared." I nodded, though I wasn't sure how one could ever be prepared for something like this. As I drove back, my mind replayed every moment from the past few months, every unexplained absence, every vague excuse. How had I not seen the signs? When I finally arrived home, I found the house still eerily quiet. I walked in, calling her name. "Lisa." She appeared in the hallway, looking startled. "You're home early," she said, a nervous smile on her face. "I got back a little while ago," I replied, trying to keep my voice steady. "We need to talk." Lisa's expression changed, her eyes narrowing slightly. "About what?" "About you and whoever it is you have been seeing behind my back," I said, unable to keep the bitterness out of my voice. Her face went pale, and for a moment she looked genuinely scared. Then she quickly masked it with defiance. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Stop lying, Lisa," I snapped. "Jake and Lily told me everything. I saw the messages." Her composure faltered, but she quickly regained it. "You have no right to go through my things." "I had every right to know the truth," I shot back. "How long, Lisa? How long have you been lying to me?" She crossed her arms, her face a mask of anger and guilt. "It's not what you think." "Then what is it?" I demanded. "Explain it to me." She looked away, unable to meet my eyes. "It's just complicated." "Complicated?" I echoed, incredulous. "You betrayed me, our family. What is so complicated about that?" She sighed, finally looking at me. "It just happened, okay? I didn't plan for this." "Who is he?" I asked, needing to know the truth, even if it tore me apart. Lisa hesitated, then whispered, "His name is Mark. We met at work." Of course, it was a co-worker. The pieces started to fall into place, but the picture they formed was one of devastation and betrayal. I turned away, unable to look at her. I need to think. As I walked out of the house, my mind was a storm of emotions. Betrayal, anger, hurt. This was just the beginning, and I had no idea what twists and turns lay ahead. All I knew was that nothing would ever be the same again. The next few days were a blur. I could barely focus at work, my mind constantly replaying the confrontation with Lisa. She called and texted multiple times, but I ignored every attempt. I needed space to think, to process everything. One evening, I was sitting in my car outside a coffee shop trying to gather the courage to go inside and face the world, when my phone buzzed. It was a message from an unknown number. "Meet me at the park, 8 p.m., we need to talk." My heart skipped a beat. Was it Mark or someone else who knew about the affair? Curiosity got the better of me, and I decided to go. I needed answers, and maybe this mysterious meeting would provide some. I arrived at the park just before 8, the sun setting in a blaze of orange and pink. I spotted a figure sitting on a bench near the fountain, and as I approached, I realized it was my neighbor, Mrs. Harper. Mrs. Harper, I asked, puzzled. You wanted to meet? She nodded, looking around nervously. Yes, Derek. I needed to talk to you. I couldn't say anything before, but now. I just can't keep quiet anymore. About what? I asked, sitting down beside her. About Lisa, she said, her voice trembling. I know about the affair. My stomach tightened. How? I have seen them together, she admitted. He comes over when you're not home. I didn't know what to do. I didn't want to cause trouble, but I couldn't just stay silent. Why now? I asked, anger and confusion swirling inside me. Because I found out something else, she said, lowering her voice. Something you need to know. What is it? I demanded, leaning closer. Mrs. Harper took a deep breath. I overheard a conversation between Lisa and Mark. They are planning something, Derek, something bad. Planning what? I asked, my heart pounding. They are planning to run away together, she whispered. And they want to take everything, your money, your house, everything. I felt like the ground had been pulled out from under me. Are you sure? She nodded, her eyes filled with worry. I heard them talking about it. They think if they can make it look like you abandoned the family, they can take it all and start fresh somewhere else. Rage boiled up inside me. I couldn't believe Lisa would go this far. Thank you for telling me, Mrs. Harper. I appreciate it. You need to be careful, Derek, she said, placing a hand on my arm. They're dangerous. I nodded, standing up. I will, and thank you again. As I walked back to my car, my mind was racing. I needed a plan, something to protect myself and my assets. I couldn't let Lisa and Mark get away with this. I decided to call my lawyer first thing in the morning. This was war, and I needed to be prepared. The next morning I met with my lawyer, Tim. I explained everything Mrs. Harper had told me, and he nodded, taking notes. We need to act fast, Tim said. We can start by freezing your joint accounts and changing the locks on the house. I'll also file for a restraining order against Mark. Do whatever it takes, I said, my resolve hardening. I won't let them take everything from me. Over the next few days, we put the plan into action. I transferred all my money into a new account, changed the locks, and installed security cameras around the house. I also confronted Lisa one last time, laying out everything I knew. She didn't even try to deny it. Instead, she looked at me with a mix of defiance and regret. I never wanted it to end like this, Derek, she said. Neither did I replied, my voice cold. But you made your choices. Now you have to live with them. As I watched her pack her things and leave, I felt a strange mix of sadness and relief. The woman I had loved was gone, replaced by someone I barely recognized. But I was free now, free to rebuild my life without the weight of her lies dragging me down. Little did I know this was just the beginning. The real storm was still brewing, and the worst was yet to come. The house felt empty without Lisa. Every room echoed with memories, and the silence was deafening. I spent my evenings going over the security footage, making sure Lisa and Mark didn't try to sneak back in. My phone buzzed constantly with messages from friends and family who had heard the news. Everyone was shocked, but supportive. I needed their support now more than ever. A few days later, I received a call from my lawyer, Tim. Derek, we need to talk, he said, his tone serious. Can you come to my office? I drove over, anxiety gnawing at me. Tim greeted me and led me to a conference room. We've been digging into Lisa S. financials and her relationship with Mark, he began, spreading out several documents on the table. What did you find? I asked, leaning forward. Mark isn't just a random coworker, Tim said. He's been involved in several fraudulent schemes. It looks like Lisa might be caught up in his latest one. I stared at the documents, my heart sinking. What kind of schemes? Money laundering, embezzlement, you name it, Tim replied. We think they're planning to use your assets to fund their next move. How do we stop them? I asked, anger boiling inside me. We are working with the authorities now, Tim said. They've agreed to put a watch on both Lisa and Mark, but we need to be careful. If they catch wind of this, they might disappear before we can gather enough evidence. I nodded, feeling a mix of relief and fear. Do whatever it takes. Just make sure they can hurt anyone else. As I left Tim S. office, my phone buzzed with a new message. It was from Lisa. Meet me tonight. We need to talk, alone. L. Against my better judgment, I decided to go. I needed answers, and maybe confronting Lisa face to face would give me some closure. I arrived at the park where she had asked me to meet her. The night was chilly, and the wind rustled the leaves in the trees. Lisa was waiting by the fountain, looking nervous. "Derek," she said as I approached, "thank you for coming." "I don't know why I did," I replied, keeping my distance. "What do you want, Lisa?" "I need you to understand," she said, her voice trembling. "I never meant for things to get this out of control. Mark, he promised me a way out, a fresh start." "And you believed him?" I asked, incredulous. "You were willing to throw away everything we had for a promise?" Tears welled up in her eyes. "I was desperate, Derek. I felt trapped." "Trapped in what?" I demanded. "A marriage with someone who loved you, a life we built together? It wasn't enough," she whispered. "I needed more." "Well, now you have nothing," I said coldly. "I know about Mark S. schemes. The authorities are watching both of you. It is over, Lisa." She looked stunned. You told the police?" "Of course I did," I replied. "Did you think I'd just let you and Mark ruin everything without a fight?" Lisa S.'s expression changed from shock to anger. "You think you're so righteous, Derek, but you don't know everything." "Then tell me," I challenged. "What else is there?" She hesitated, then looked away. "Mark. He has connections, dangerous ones. If he finds out about the police, he won't just run. He'll retaliate." A chill ran down my spine. "What are you saying?" "I am saying you need to be careful," she said, her voice barely a whisper. "I never wanted to hurt you. But Mark, he's not like us. He won't think twice about doing whatever it takes to get what he wants." I took a step back, feeling the weight of her words. "Why are you telling me this now?" "Because despite everything, I still care about you," she said, tears streaming down her face. "And I don't want you to get hurt." I turned and walked away, my mind racing. Lisa S.'s warning echoed in my ears. If Mark was as dangerous as she said, this was far from over. Back home, I double-checked the locks and security cameras. I called Tim and told him about Lisa S.'s warning. He assured me that the authorities would be extra vigilant, but I couldn't shake the feeling of impending doom. The following days were a tense waiting game. I kept a low profile, avoiding any routines that could make me an easy target. The authorities set up surveillance around Mark S.'s known locations, hoping to catch him in the act. Then, one night, I received a call from a blocked number. "Hello?" I answered, my heart pounding. "Mr. Derek," a voice said, cold and menacing. "I think we need to have a chat. You see, I don't take kindly to people meddling in my affairs." It was Mark. Mark S.'s voice sent a chill down my spine. "What do you want?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. "I think you know what I want," Mark replied, his tone dripping with menace. "You and your lawyer need to back off. Stop your little investigation or things will get very unpleasant for you." "I am not scared of you," I said, though my heart was racing. "The authorities are onto you, Mark. It's only a matter of time before you were behind bars." He laughed, a cold, mirthless sound. "You think the cops can protect you? I have friends in high places. If you don't back off, you'll regret it." Before I could respond, the line went dead. I sat there for a moment, my mind racing. Mark S.'s threat was serious, and I had no idea how far he was willing to go. The next morning, I met with Tim at his office. "We need to be extra careful," I told him, recounting the phone call. Mark wanted to hesitate to retaliate. Tim nodded, his expression grim. "We've got surveillance on him, but we'll increase security around your place as well. Don't go anywhere alone, and keep your phone with you at all times." For the next few days, I lived in a state of hyper-vigilance. I changed my routines, varied my routes to work, and kept a close eye on everyone around me. The constant stress was taking its toll, but I knew I couldn't afford to let my guard down. One evening, as I was leaving work, I noticed a black car parked across the street. It looked out of place, and a sense of dread washed over me. I quickly made my way to my car, glancing over my shoulder. The black car's engine roared to life, and it started following me. I tried to stay calm, driving towards the police station instead of heading straight home. As I turned a corner, the black car sped up, cutting me off. My heart pounded as I slammed on the brakes. Two men got out, their faces hidden under hoods. I didn't wait to see what they wanted. I threw the car into reverse and hit the gas, my tires screeching as I sped backward. I managed to turn around and floored it, my eyes flicking between the road and the rearview mirror. I saw the black car following me, but I kept my focus, weaving through traffic until I reached the police station. I parked and rushed inside, explaining the situation to the officers. They took my statement and assured me they'd look into it, but I couldn't shake the feeling of being hunted. Back at home, I called Tim and updated him. "They are getting bolder," I said, my voice shaking. "What if they come after me at home?" "We've increased patrols in your neighborhood," Tim assured me, "but we might need to consider a safe house if things escalate further." The following days were a blur of tension and paranoia. I rarely left the house, and when I did, I made sure I was never alone. Then, one night, the situation reached a breaking point. I was watching TV when I heard a noise outside. I quickly checked the security cameras and saw two figures lurking near the side of the house. My blood ran cold. I grabbed my phone and called the police, whispering my address and the situation. I stayed on the line with the operator, my heart racing as I watched the figures try to break into the house. Just as they managed to pry open a window, I heard sirens in the distance. The figures turned and bolted, but the police arrived in time to apprehend one of them. The other got away, but the police assured me they'd catch him. The man they arrested was one of Mark S.'s known associates, and his capture gave the authorities the leverage they needed to bring Mark in for questioning. A few days later, Tim called with good news. "They've arrested Mark," he said. "He is being held without bail, and they are building a solid case against him. You should be safe now, Derek." Relief washed over me, but I knew it wasn't over yet. Lisa was still out there, and I needed to protect myself from any further betrayal. I changed all my passwords, closed joint accounts, and made sure my assets were secure. As the days turned into weeks, the tension slowly eased. Mark S.'s trial was set, and the evidence against him was overwhelming. I started to feel a sense of normalcy returning, though I knew I'd never fully recover from the ordeal. Then, one evening, I received a letter in the mail. It was from Lisa. My hands shook as I opened it, wondering what she could possibly have to say. "Derek, I know I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I wanted to apologize. I got caught up in something I couldn't control, and I made terrible choices. Mark manipulated me, and I see now how wrong I was. I'm leaving town, starting fresh somewhere far away. I hope you can find it in your heart to move on and be happy. Lisa." I stared at the letter for a long time, feeling a mix of emotions: anger, sadness, relief. I didn't know if I could ever forgive her, but I knew I needed to move on. With Mark behind bars and Lisa out of my life, I started to rebuild. It wasn't too easy, but with the support of my friends and family, I slowly found my footing. The scars of betrayal would always be there, but I was determined not to let them define me. With Mark behind bars and Lisa out of my life, I began the arduous process of rebuilding. My house, once filled with memories of happier times, felt like a shell. I decided to make some changes, starting with a complete renovation. It was therapeutic, giving me a sense of control over my environment. My friends and family rallied around me, their support unwavering. Jake and Lily checked in regularly, and we grew closer through the ordeal. They were my anchor, reminding me that life could still be good despite everything. One Saturday morning, while I was painting the living room, my phone rang. It was Jake. "Dad, we're coming over," he said. "We have something to show you." Curious, I agreed. And within the hour, they arrived with a small, furry bundle in tow. "Meet Max," Jake said, holding up the cutest puppy I had ever seen. Lily grinned. "We thought you could use some company." He is part of the family now. I felt a lump in my throat as I reached out to pet Max. "Thank you guys. This means a lot." Having Max around brought new energy into the house. His playful antics and unconditional love helped me heal in ways I hadn't anticipated. Every wag of his tail reminded me that life moves forward, and there is always room for joy. One evening, as I was walking Max in the park, I ran into an old acquaintance, Sarah. We had gone to high school together, but life had taken us in different directions. She was sitting on a bench, reading a book. "Sarah," I called out, and she looked up surprised. "Derek, it's just been ages," she said, standing up to hug me. "How have you been?" We spent the next hour catching up, talking about everything from high school memories to the twists and turns our lives had taken. She had gone through a rough divorce herself and understood the pain of betrayal. "It's just good to see you, Derek," she said as we parted ways. "We should do this again sometime." "Absolutely," I agreed, feeling a spark of something I hadn't felt in a long time. As the weeks went by, Sarah and I started meeting regularly. We went for coffee, walked our dogs together, and even started attending a local book club. It was nice to have someone who understood what I was going through, and our friendship blossomed into something more. One evening, after a particularly fun day at the dog park, Sarah and I sat on my porch, watching Max chase fireflies. She turned to me, her eyes warm and sincere. "Derek, I know it's been a tough year for you, but I want you to know that I am here for you, no matter what." I reached out and took her hand. "Thank you, Sarah. You've been a rock for me. I don't know how I would have gotten through this without you." As the months passed, Sarah and I grew closer, and I began to feel something I hadn't felt in a long time: hope. We shared our dreams and fears, and she helped me see that it was possible to trust again. One crisp autumn morning, I received a call from Tim. "Derek, I have got good news. Mark took a plea deal. He's going to be in prison for a long time." Relief washed over me. "Thank you, Tim. I can tell you how much this means." With Mark out of the picture, I finally felt like I could breathe again. Lisa had stayed true to her word and left town, and I hoped she found peace wherever she ended up. Life began to settle into a new normal. Sarah and I decided to take a weekend trip to the mountains, a chance to get away from everything and enjoy each other's company. As we hiked through the crisp autumn air, I felt a sense of peace I hadn't felt in years. On our last night there, we sat by a campfire, the stars twinkling overhead. Sarah looked at me, her eyes reflecting the firelight. "Derek, I've been thinking about something." "What is that?" I asked, taking her hand in mine. "About us. About our future," she said, her voice soft. "I know we've both been through a lot, but I think we have something special, something worth fighting for." I smiled, feeling my heart swell with emotion. "I think so too, Sarah. I don't know what the future holds, but I know I want to face it with you." As we sat there, wrapped in each other's arms, I realized that life had given me a second chance. It wasn't the life I had planned, but it was still full of potential and love. And for the first time in a long time, I felt truly happy. Returning from the mountains, Sarah and I felt more connected than ever. The trip had given us both a sense of clarity and purpose, and we were ready to face whatever life threw at us together. We decided to take things slow but steady, enjoying the simple pleasures of life. We spent weekends exploring new hiking trails, trying out new recipes, and attending local events. Max, our faithful companion, was always by our side, his joyful energy a constant reminder of how far I had come. One afternoon, as we were walking Max through the park, Sarah brought up an idea she had been mulling over. "Derek, have you thought about what you want to do next? I mean, in terms of your career or hobbies?" I shrugged, looking down at Max as he sniffed around. "I haven't really thought about it. Work's been steady and the renovations kept me busy, but now that things have settled, I guess I haven't found that next big thing yet." Sarah smiled, her eyes twinkling with excitement. "Well, I was thinking, what if we started a business together, something we are both passionate about?" I raised an eyebrow, intrigued. "What do you have in mind?" "How about a dog-friendly cafe?" she suggested. "We've always loved taking Max to places where he can play and socialize. Why not create a space where people can bring their pets, enjoy good food, and relax?" The idea was appealing. It combined our love for dogs, food, and community. "That sounds amazing," I said, feeling a spark of excitement. "But where would we even start?" "Let us do some research," Sarah said. "We can look into locations, licenses, and maybe talk to some other cafe owners to get advice." Over the next few weeks, we dove headfirst into planning. We visited various dog-friendly spots, taking notes and gathering inspiration. We spent evenings sketching out ideas, making lists, and dreaming about what our cafe could become. One evening, as we were going over plans in my living room, Sarah looked up from her notes. "You know, Derek, I think this cafe could be more than just a business. It could be a fresh start for both of us." I nodded, feeling a sense of purpose. "You are right. It is not just about the cafe. It is about building something together, creating a future we both believe in. With renewed determination, we moved forward with our plans. We found a charming location in a busy part of town, perfect for attracting dog lovers. The space needed some work, but we were up for the challenge. We enlisted the help of friends and family, turning the renovation process into a community project. As the weeks passed, the cafe began to take shape. We painted walls, installed fixtures, and designed a cozy, welcoming atmosphere. Max was our unofficial mascot, his picture prominently displayed on our marketing materials. Opening day finally arrived, and we were both nervous and excited. The cafe was packed with friends, family, and curious locals. Dogs of all shapes and sizes roamed around, making new friends while their owners enjoyed coffee and pastries. By the end of the day, we were exhausted but thrilled. The feedback was overwhelmingly positive, and it was clear that we had created something special. That night, as we closed up the cafe, Sarah and I sat together, sipping wine and reflecting on the day. "We did it," she said, her voice filled with pride. "Yeah, we did," I agreed, feeling a deep sense of accomplishment. And this is just the beginning. As our business flourished, so did our relationship. We faced challenges together, celebrating our successes and learning from our failures. We supported each other through the ups and downs, our bond growing stronger with each passing day. One evening, a few months after the cafe opened, Sarah and I were sitting on the porch, watching Max play in the yard. She turned to me, a serious look in her eyes. "Derek, there is something I've been wanting to ask you." "What's that?" I asked, sensing the importance of the moment. She took a deep breath. "How do you feel about us moving in together? I know it's a big step, but I think we are ready." I smiled, my heart swelling with love for this amazing woman. "I've been thinking the same thing. I think we are more than ready." With that decision, we took another step forward in our journey together. Sarah moved in, and our house became a true home, filled with laughter, love, and the joyful chaos of daily life. As we navigated this new chapter, I realized how far I had come. From the depths of betrayal and heartache, I had rebuilt my life, finding happiness and love in unexpected places. With Sarah and Max by my side, I felt ready to face whatever the future held. With Sarah moving in, our house felt fuller, livelier, and more complete. The cafe was thriving, quickly becoming a favorite spot for dog lovers in the community. We were busier than ever, but the work was rewarding, and the joy of seeing our customers and their pets happy made it all worthwhile. One morning, as we were setting up the cafe for the day, Sarah's phone buzzed with a message. She read it, her eyes widening. "Derek, you won't believe this. We just got an invitation to participate in a local business showcase event." "That's amazing," I said, excitement bubbling up. It could be a great opportunity to get even more exposure. The event was a month away, giving us enough time to prepare. We brainstormed ideas for our booth, deciding to set up a mini version of the cafe, complete with dog treats, coffee samples, and information about our services. We also decided to run a contest, offering a year SS worth of free coffee and dog treats to one lucky winner. The weeks leading up to the event were hectic. We juggled our usual responsibilities while working on our presentation. We even designed new merchandise, including branded mugs and dog bandanas. The anticipation built as the day approached, and we were determined to make a big impression. The showcase day finally arrived, and the venue was buzzing with energy. Our booth quickly became one of the most popular spots, with people and their dogs flocking to see what we had to offer. Max, our beloved mascot, charmed everyone who stopped by, his wagging tail and playful antics drawing smiles from all around. As the day went on, we met countless potential customers and partners. One encounter, in particular, stood out. A representative from a popular pet food company approached us, expressing interest in a potential collaboration. "We've heard great things about your cafe," she said, handing us her card. "We'd love to discuss a partnership, maybe even feature some of our products in your cafe." Sarah and I exchanged excited glances. "This could be a game changer for us." "We'd love that," Sarah replied, her eyes shining with excitement. "Let's set up a meeting to discuss it further." The showcase was a massive success, and as we packed up our booth that evening, we were exhausted but exhilarated. "I think today went pretty well," I said, pulling Sarah into a hug. "It was incredible," she agreed, her eyes sparkling. I can't wait to see where this takes us. Over the next few weeks, we worked on the potential partnership with the pet food company. They loved our cafe-esque concept and ethos and wanted to supply us with exclusive products and sponsor events. The deal would bring in additional revenue and help us reach even more dog lovers in the community. As our business grew, so did the demands on our time and energy. We hired a few more staff members to help manage the increased workload, ensuring we could maintain the high standards our customers had come to expect. Sarah and I made a great team, balancing each other's strengths and weaknesses and supporting one another through the challenges. One evening, after a particularly long day at the cafe, we were sitting on the porch, watching Max chase fireflies. Sarah turned to me, her expression thoughtful. "Derek, I've been thinking. With everything that happened, maybe we should take a break, just the two of us. What do you think about a vacation?" The idea sounded perfect. I think that sounds amazing. We've been working so hard, and a little getaway would do us both good. We started planning a trip to a cabin in the mountains, a peaceful retreat where we could recharge and spend quality time together. We made arrangements for our staff to handle the cafe while we were away, trusting them to keep everything running smoothly. The cabin was nestled in a serene forest, surrounded by tall trees and the soothing sounds of nature. The moment we arrived, I felt a wave of relaxation wash over me. We spent our days hiking, exploring the woods, and enjoying each other's company. The evenings were filled with cozy fires, stargazing, and deep conversations about our future. One night, as we sat by the fire, Sarah looked at me, her eyes reflecting the flickering flames. "Derek, I love what we've built together, the cafe, our life, but I want to make sure we were both happy. Is there anything you feel like we are missing?" I took her hand, feeling a rush of gratitude for this incredible woman. "Honestly, Sarah, I feel like we've found something truly special. But if there's one thing I've learned, it's that we should always be open to new possibilities. What about you? Is there something you've been wanting to do?" She smiled, a hint of excitement in her eyes. "Actually, yes. I've been thinking about offering dog training classes at the cafe. We have the space, and I think it would be a great addition to what we already offer." "That is a fantastic idea," I said, feeling inspired. "Let us make it happen." When we returned from our vacation, we dove into planning the new dog training classes. We partnered with a local trainer, set up a schedule, and started promoting the classes to our customers. The response was overwhelmingly positive, and soon the classes were fully booked. Our lives continued to be busy, but the joy we found in our work and each other made it all worthwhile. Sarah and I grew closer with each new challenge, our bond strengthened by the shared experiences and the love we had for one another. One evening, as we were closing up the cafe, I looked around at the bustling space, filled with happy customers and their dogs. Sarah came up beside me, slipping her arm around my waist. "Look at what we've built," she said softly. "It's pretty amazing, isn't it?" "It is," I agreed, feeling a deep sense of contentment, and I wouldn't have it any other way. As we walked out together, the future felt bright and full of promise. We had faced our fair share of challenges, but we had come out stronger on the other side. With Sarah and Max by my side, I knew we could handle anything that came our way. Business at the cafe continued to thrive, and the dog training classes were a hit. Sarah and I were busier than ever, but our hard work was paying off. The partnership with the pet food company had brought us even more customers, and we were expanding our offerings to include special events and workshops. One crisp autumn morning, as we were opening the cafe, Sarah received a phone call that made her face go pale. "Derek, it is the police," she said, her voice trembling. "They want to talk to us about Mark." My heart sank. "What now?" I muttered, trying to keep my composure. We agreed to meet with the detective at the station that afternoon. The hours until the meeting dragged on, filled with a sense of foreboding. When we finally sat down with Detective Marshall, his expression was grave. "I'm sorry to bring this up again," he began, "but we've received some disturbing information. It seems Mark has been communicating with someone on the outside and they might be planning something." My stomach twisted in knots. "Planning what?" "We're not entirely sure yet," the detective admitted, "but there have been some suspicious activities. We are keeping an eye on it, but we wanted to warn you both to be extra cautious." Sarah squeezed my hand, her eyes wide with fear. "What should we do?" "Stay vigilant," Detective Marshall advised. "If you notice anything unusual or feel threatened, contact us immediately. We'll increase patrols around your home and the CAF." Leaving the station, we were both on edge. The threat of Mark still loomed, casting a dark shadow over our hard-earned peace. The next few days were tense. We made sure to lock up the CAF securely every night and kept a close eye on everyone who came in. Our friends and family were supportive, rallying around us and offering to help in any way they could. One evening, as we were closing up, Sarah noticed a man lingering outside the CAF watching us. He had a hood pulled over his head, obscuring his face. My heart raced as I grabbed my phone to call the police. Before I could dial, the man turned and walked away, disappearing into the night. "Did you see that?" Sarah asked, her voice shaking. "I did," I replied, my mind racing. "Let's get home and make sure everything's secure." That night I barely slept, my mind replaying the scene over and over. Was it just a coincidence, or was it connected to Mark? The uncertainty was driving me crazy. The next day, we received another unsettling message. This time it was a letter left at the CAF, addressed to me. The handwriting was unfamiliar, but the message was clear. "You are not safe. We know where you are." I showed the letter to Detective Marshall, who took it seriously. "We'll do everything we can to find out who's behind this," he assured us. "In the meantime, consider hiring private security for extra protection." Sarah and I discussed our options and decided to hire a security team to monitor the CAF and our home. The added layer of protection helped ease our anxiety, but the fear lingered. Despite the threat, we tried to maintain some semblance of normalcy. We continued to run the CAF, greet customers, and enjoy our time with Max, but the tension was palpable, always lurking just beneath the surface. One evening, as we were closing up, I heard a noise coming from the back alley. I motioned for Sarah to stay inside and cautiously approached the source of the sound. My heart pounded as I rounded the corner, only to find a stray cat knocking over some trash cans. I let out a sigh of relief, but my nerves were still on edge. Returning inside, I tried to reassure Sarah. "It was just a cat," I said, trying to sound calm. "I can't live like this, Derek," she said, her eyes filled with worry, always looking over our shoulders, wondering if we are safe. "I know," I replied, pulling her into a hug, "but we all get through this, together." The next morning, we received a call from Detective Marshall. "We've identified the person who's been in contact with Mark," he said. "It is an old associate of his, someone who has a history of violent behavior. We are working on tracking him down." The news was both comforting and terrifying. At least we knew who was behind the threats, but knowing there was a dangerous person out there made everything more real. As the days turned into weeks, the authorities made progress. They managed to apprehend Mark's associate, a man named Tony. He was caught with incriminating evidence, and under interrogation, he admitted to planning to intimidate us on Mark's orders. With Tony in custody, we hoped the worst was over. Detective Marshall assured us that Mark's influence would be significantly diminished now that his key contact was behind bars. Despite the relief, Sarah and I remained cautious. The experience had left us both shaken, but it also brought us closer together. We leaned on each other for support, determined to protect the life we had built. As the weeks passed without incident, the tension began to ease. We started to feel more secure, slowly letting go of the constant fear that had gripped us. The CAF continued to thrive, and our community rallied around us, their support unwavering. One evening, as we were closing up, Sarah turned to me with a hopeful smile. "I think we can finally start to breathe again." "I think you are right," I said, feeling a weight lift off my shoulders. "We have made it through the worst. Now we can focus on the future." As we walked home, Max trotting happily beside us, I felt a renewed sense of hope. We had faced the shadows of the past and come out stronger. With Sarah and Max by my side, I knew we could handle anything the future held. With the threat of Mark and his associate behind us, life began to feel normal again. The CAF continued to thrive, and Sarah and I started to think about new ways to expand and diversify our business. We were excited about the possibilities and eager to build on our success. One sunny afternoon, as we were enjoying a rare day off, Sarah and I sat on our porch with Max at our feet. "So, what do you think our next move should be?" she asked, sipping her iced tea. "I've been thinking about that," I said. "What if we started offering homemade dog treats and gourmet pet food? We've seen how much our customers love spoiling their pets, and there's definitely a market for high-quality, healthy options." Sarah's eyes lit up. "That is a great idea. We could create a line of products that are both nutritious and delicious for dogs. And since we already have the calf, we have a built-in customer base to start with." We spent the next few weeks experimenting with recipes, testing different combinations of ingredients, and seeking feedback from our customers. We held a few taste test events at the calf, inviting our regulars to bring their dogs and try out the new treats. The response was overwhelmingly positive, and it became clear that we were onto something special. Encouraged by the feedback, we decided to launch our new line of products under the brand name Paws Whiskers Delights. We created an online store to reach a wider audience, offering everything from gourmet dog biscuits to organic pet food. The website also featured tips on pet nutrition and care, adding value for our customers. As the orders started pouring in, we realized we needed more space to handle production. We found a small commercial kitchen nearby and hired a few extra hands to help with baking and packaging. It was a significant investment, but we believed in our vision and were willing to take the risk. In addition to our new product line, we also began hosting special events at the calf. One idea that Sarah was particularly passionate about was puppy playdates, a monthly event where dog owners could bring their pets to socialize and play while enjoying coffee and snacks. We even partnered with a local animal shelter to host adoption events, helping dogs find their forever homes. The first puppy playdate was a huge success. The calf was filled with happy dogs and their owners, and the sense of community was palpable. Max, of course, was in his element, making friends with every dog that walked through the door. One evening, after a particularly busy day, Sarah and I sat down to review our progress. "I think we were really onto something here," I said, looking at the numbers. "The new product line is taking off, and the events are bringing in even more customers." Sarah nodded, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "I agree, but I think we can do even more. What if we started offering pet grooming services? We've got the space, and it would be a great addition to what we already offer." I considered the idea. That could work. We'd need to hire a professional groomer and set up a dedicated area, but it would definitely attract more customers. We began researching and planning, talking to potential groomers and figuring out the logistics. We decided to create a cozy, welcoming space for the grooming area, ensuring that pets would feel comfortable and well cared for. We also offered grooming packages that included our homemade treats, creating a seamless experience for our customers. As the months passed, our business continued to grow. The grooming services were a hit, and our customer base expanded even further. We were busier than ever, but the satisfaction of seeing our hard work pay off made it all worthwhile. One day, as we were closing up the calf, Sarah turned to me with a smile. "You know, Derek, I think we should celebrate. We've come a long way since we started this journey, and I couldn't have done it without you." I pulled her into a hug, feeling grateful for everything we had built together. "I couldn't have done it without you either, Sarah. Let us make tonight special." We decided to take a spontaneous trip to the coast for the weekend, a chance to unwind and enjoy some time together, away from the hustle and bustle of the calf. We found a charming beachfront cottage and spent our days exploring the shoreline, relaxing on the sand, and simply enjoying each other as company. One evening, as we watched the sunset over the ocean, Sarah turned to me with a thoughtful expression. "Derek, have you ever thought about expanding our business beyond this town? Maybe opening another calf in a different location?" The idea intrigued me. "I have thought about it. It would be a big step, but with everything we've learned, I think we could make it work." Sarah nodded, a determined look in her eyes. "Let us start researching potential locations. If we find the right spot, we could bring the Paws Whiskers experience to even more people." Back home, we began our search, looking for towns and cities with a strong, pet-loving community. We made a list of potential locations and planned a few trips to visit them in person. It was an exciting new chapter for us, filled with possibilities. As we traveled and explored new opportunities, our bond grew even stronger. We faced challenges together, celebrated our successes, and supported each other through the ups and downs. The future felt bright, and we were ready to take on whatever came our way. With the success of our calf, grooming services, and homemade dog treats, Sarah and I were always on the lookout for new product ideas that would keep our business fresh and exciting. We wanted to offer something unique that would set us apart from other pet-friendly establishments. After several brainstorming sessions and feedback from our loyal customers, we came up with a few innovative ideas. One sunny afternoon, as we were enjoying a rare day off, Sarah and I sat on our porch with Max at our feet. "So, what do you think our next move should be?" she asked, sipping her iced tea. "I have been thinking about that," I said. "What if we started offering homemade dog treats and gourmet pet food? We've seen how much our customers love spoiling their pets, and there is definitely a market for high-quality, healthy options." Sarah's eyes lit up. "That's a great idea. We could create a line of products that are both nutritious and delicious for dogs. And since we already have the calf, we have a built-in customer base to start with." We spent the next few weeks experimenting with recipes, testing different combinations of ingredients, and seeking feedback from our customers. We held a few taste test events at the calf, inviting our regulars to bring their dogs and try out the new treats. The response was overwhelmingly positive, and it became clear that we were onto something special. Encouraged by the feedback, we decided to launch our new line of products under the brand name Paws Whiskers Delights. We created an online store to reach a wider audience, offering everything from gourmet dog biscuits to organic pet food. The website also featured tips on pet nutrition and care, adding value for our customers. As the orders started pouring in, we realized we needed more space to handle production. We found a small commercial kitchen nearby and hired a few extra hands to help with baking and packaging. It was a significant investment, but we believed in our vision and were willing to take the risk. In addition to our new product line, we began hosting special events at the calf. One idea that Sarah was particularly passionate about was puppy playdates, a monthly event where dog owners could bring their pets to socialize and play while enjoying coffee and snacks. We even partnered with a local animal shelter to host adoption events, helping dogs find their forever homes. The first puppy playdate was a huge success. The calf was filled with happy dogs and their owners, and the sense of community was palpable. Max, of course, was in his element, making friends with every dog that walked through the door. One evening, after a particularly busy day, Sarah and I sat down to review our progress. "I think we are really onto something here," I said, looking at the numbers. "The new product line is taking off, and the events are bringing in even more customers." Sarah nodded, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "I agree, but I think we can do even more. What if we started offering pet grooming services? We've got the space, and it would be a great addition to what we already offer." I considered the idea. That could work. We need to hire a professional groomer and set up a dedicated area, but it would definitely attract more customers. We began researching and planning, talking to potential groomers and figuring out the logistics. We decided to create a cozy, welcoming space for the grooming area, ensuring that pets would feel comfortable and well cared for. We also offered grooming packages that included our homemade treats, creating a seamless experience for our customers. As the months passed, our business continued to grow. The grooming services were a hit, and our customer base expanded even further. We were busier than ever, but the satisfaction of seeing our hard work pay off made it all worthwhile. One evening, as we were closing up the calf, Sarah turned to me with a smile. "You know, Derek, I think we should celebrate. We've come a long way since we started this journey, and I couldn't have done it without you." I pulled her into a hug, feeling grateful for everything we had built together. "I couldn't have done it without you either, Sarah. Let us make tonight special." We decided to take a spontaneous trip to the coast for the weekend, a chance to unwind and enjoy some time together, away from the hustle and bustle of the calf. We found a charming beachfront cottage and spent our days exploring the shoreline, relaxing on the sand, and simply enjoying each other's company. One evening, as we watched the sunset over the ocean, Sarah turned to me with a thoughtful expression. "Derek, have you ever thought about expanding our business beyond this town? Maybe opening another cafe in a different location?" The idea intrigued me. "I have thought about it. It would be a big step, but with everything we've learned, I think we could make it work." Sarah nodded, a determined look in her eyes. "Let us start researching potential locations. If we find the right spot, we could bring the Paws Whiskers experience to even more people." Back home, we began our search, looking for towns and cities with a strong, pet-loving community. We made a list of potential locations and planned a few trips to visit them in person. It was an exciting new chapter for us, filled with possibilities. As we traveled and explored new opportunities, our bond grew even stronger. We faced challenges together, celebrated our successes, and supported each other through the ups and downs. The future felt bright, and we were ready to take on whatever came our way. One day, as we were reviewing some potential locations for our second cafe, we received an unexpected visit from Detective Marshall. His expression was serious, and a knot of anxiety formed in my stomach. "Derek, Sarah, I need to talk to you both," he said, taking a seat at our kitchen table. "We've received some alarming information. Mark S. associate, Tony, managed to escape custody." My heart sank. "What? How did that happen?" "He had help from the inside," Detective Marshall explained. "We believe he is on his way here. We're doing everything we can to apprehend him, but I need you both to be extremely careful." Fear gripped me as I looked at Sarah. "What do we do? Increase your security measures and stay vigilant," the detective advised. "We'll have officers patrolling the area, but you need to stay alert." The news shook us both. Just when we thought we were free from Mark S. shadow, it returned with a vengeance. We beefed up our security and made sure our employees knew to be on the lookout for anything suspicious. One evening, as we were closing up the cafe, I heard a noise coming from the back alley. My heart raced as I motioned for Sarah to stay inside and cautiously approached the source of the sound. Suddenly, a figure lunged at me from the shadows. We struggled, and I managed to push him away, recognizing Tony S.'s face in the dim light. "Stay away from us," I shouted, backing toward the cafe. Just then, the police arrived, lights flashing and sirens blaring. Tony tried to run, but they quickly apprehended him, ensuring he wouldn't escape again. The ordeal left us shaken, but the police assured us that Tony would be securely locked away this time. As the days passed and the tension eased, we focused on moving forward, knowing we had faced down yet another threat. One evening, as we were closing up the cafe, a familiar face walked in. Mrs. Harper, my old neighbor, who had first alerted me to Lisa S.'s betrayal. "I just wanted to say how proud I am of you, Derek," she said, her eyes twinkling. "You've turned a difficult situation into something wonderful." "Thank you, Mrs. Harper," I said, feeling a lump in my throat. "Your support means the world to us." As we watched her leave, Sarah turned to me. "We've come a long way, Derek, and I can't wait to see where this journey takes us next." With a renewed sense of purpose and an unbreakable bond, we looked forward to the adventures and challenges that lay ahead. Together, we were unstoppable.